Okay, so back with the Yamaha SR125. I had some jobs cancelled me last minute, so I'm stuck here at my sister's, working on my brother-in-law's bike. The rear chain and sprockets are pretty worn, so I've got some replacements, some JT sprockets, nice D.I.D chain, and I'm going to replace those now. Remove chain guard. There's like 4 10 mils. Just bend out. Yeah. On the adjustments on here, they're like ratcheted, so notch, 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 and it is on the very last one. So this chain has stretched loads, and this sprocket is very spiky. Now I need to remove this as well, but in order to get to this screw here, you need to take the gear change lever off. Gear change lever, you want to mark it, so I'll put a bit of X there, in line with the gap, so I know where to put it back on. Okay, 10 mil again. Got to take it all the way out, otherwise it doesn't come out. Off she comes. Let's screw back in. 2 Phillips screws. They probably are. No, they're not. All the Japanese bikes use JIS, Japanese Industry Standard, I think it's called. It looks like a Phillips, but it's slightly different. So you can easily mash them up. I'm using the big fattest bit on there. Seems to be okay. Wow, that's filthy. There's crap in there. That's going to need a clean. Cover off. Screws back in, keep it safe. This little split link here. Just need to pop that off. You can see just how worn these sprockets were. They are terrible. Look how spiky that is. Okay, and the rear, very spiky. So it's well due a change, and the chain's pretty crusty itself too. So to take off the back wheel, you need to remove the brake rod and this here, and there's a split pin, you should have a split pin in there. So this, this is 12 mil, all the way out. There you go. 3. Put that back on, don't lose it. 2 12 mils. Get out of the way. Get that back in there. And back around to the other side. Let's loosen the big bolt off. 22 mil axle nut. Okay, this will be tight. Should use a bigger ratchet or break apart. I'm basically strong, so there it goes. Next nut right off. Pop it through. The adjuster will come off. Note which way they go afterwards. It's like a little hedgehog pointing at the front of the bike. So on that side, now comes the wheel. I'll tell a lie, there is a spacer just here. Okay, that pops out. So what we have, this is the other side of the bike, of course. We've got the adjuster, then the frame, then the spacer, and the brake. Okay, come over to this side, you've got this, that spacer goes in there, and the frame, and the adjuster, and the bolt. Okay, you can't really get it wrong. The most important thing is to remember the spacers each side and where they you go. It's always up against there. Alright. So here we go. The wheel's off. And this is a good time to check that you've got the right size sprocket. Because obviously this is a 49 tooth, so is this. If your bike's original, then it shouldn't be too hard getting the parts for your bike. That looks about right. Almost identical actually. Looks like these are sided, so I'm sure we'll work that in a bit. And also you've got your front sprocket as well. I've already made up against the bike, and that looks the same too. Right, so we've got a circ clip here, so I'm going to do that first. Next one to go outwards. There you are. She comes. Circ clip off, and then it looks like there's a washer or spacer. Off that comes, and then we've got 4 bolts holding it on, which are 17mm. There we go. And off with the. Oh yeah, this is sided as well. Sorry, what I forgot to say. When it was on there, it's good. It's worth giving it a bit of a wiggle, and if it's loose or anything. These here are like rubber mounts, which cushions the drive when changing your gear or taken off. If they're worn, you'll get a very sort of harsh gear change, and harsh when you take off from a standstill. But again, low mileage bike, these are good. Okay, I'm just going to clean this up and then we put that together. Okay, so flat side up. Okay. Doesn't really matter which way it goes on, because all equal. And back on the spacer, and then the circ clip. Make sure it locates into its little groove. Fully home. I am happy with that. So there we are. So that is the sprocket replaced. So there we have it. The circ clip's fully in its groove. Okay. So next, let's remove the front sprocket. It's a little 10mm, a 1, little nut, and 2. It might be easy for you guys to remove this whilst the chain's all on it, because it's okay with an impact, but you know, it might be quite hard. So little spacer comes off, little locking spacer, you've got to twist it and then pull it out, twist. Stick in. There we are. Got it off. So it all goes on like that, twists, and that's how it locks on. And it's like this has been off before for some reason. Maybe it's a second one, but it's got some sort of coppery grease on it. Or does it? No. That's just rust. So again, the new one. It's not. It's definitely somewhere there. I mean, the front ones obviously wear a lot slower. You probably get what, 2 rear cogs to 1 front, or even 3 to 1, depending on how. But not expensive. That's why I bought both. There we go. All good. I'm just going to clean all this up because it's filthy. Slightly different. Bit of a clean now. Use a bit of like carb cleaner and one of these little wire brushes to get that off. Okay, so I'm just going to pop the new one on. A little bit of copper grease on the sprocket itself. this on there. Too much. Use normal grease if you want. On the sprocket. There will be a certain way this goes on. It's a tight one. Everyone. Okay. And then on with the rotating ring. And so you put it on, and you give it, once it's in its groove, you can twist it like so. And those two 10mm bolts back in. One and two. Get it started. Well, that's on. That all back in. That goes in there. And remember the order I told you. So, we're all back in. Time to scratch your lovely new sprocket. Inside there. Just knock off a little bit of anti-seize on this, on the nut. It's a very thin skimming. Okay, so got a bit of spacer in between here, and we're going in to the drum plate. Okay, yeah, in there. That's the adjuster. Okay, coming through from this side, not forgetting, remember that spacer there, it pops in, coming through. We should be able to get the, there you go, there we're in. And then we're on with the adjuster again. Remember, it's like a little hedgehog. It should go something like that. Because when you adjust this, it brings the wheel backwards and forwards, you see. That would be the wheel furthest back, and that would be furthest forward. So, place that loose for now. And then we're going to put this on, sort of finger tight, because you still need to adjust the chain once it's on. But there you go. I'm just going to connect up the brake and the bar on the other side. Not forgetting this split pin. And then the brake rod. You want to adjust this so the pedal feels right. A bit too much, and not enough. Let's go. Slightly more. That'll do. Cool. So now the new chain. At the moment I've got the wheel pushed as far forward as it can go. Okay, both sides. Ooh, brand new chain, made in Japan. Lovely. Now, if you're going to be using like a chain wax for lube, then I recommend you clean this first in something like, not petrol, or degreaser, or paraffin is okay. I don't think this chain has O-rings in it anyway, so you're not really doing damage to it. But a lot of chains have O-rings in, and if you use petrol to clean them, great getting oil off. It's great at buggering up your O-rings as well. So it comes with a split link. Okay. There's no, this train is not directional, but the split link is. Right. How dirty is this thing? Let's get this in there. I've swept a bit round here, but it's still a bit grubby. You want to be getting crap on your new chain. Feed it through. It's in neutral, so it will this cog will turn all the way in. All the way in. You stay there, Will. Way over. Just a little bit further forward. There we are. Together. Put your link in from the back. Go through. So we've got the chain together. Okay. Now, one little spacer there. That pops on. And then the link, you want it in the direction of travel going this way, okay? Going that way. Otherwise, there's a small chance, very small chance, that as the direction of this way, this clip can pop off. So always that way, okay? Which is a case of put it in the round bit, spinning it round, a little bit closer there, and you just get a pair of pliers, just like so, little clip, and the chain is on. So now it's just a case of adjusting the chain. Okay, just put your stuff at the moment. On this one in particular, there's little numbers and more like a cam. So in effect, see that's loosening it, that's tightening it. You've got to equal either side. Okay. Other adjusters are a screw adjuster, which you screw, and it brings the ball back more. Okay, and there'll be numbers up here or a line which you can match up to the top here. You may find that someone's changed one adjuster in the past, so they're not equal. Okay, so it's always worth having a visual check a bit further forward of how far away the tyre is from the swing arm each side, and it's equal. Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna get these equal now. This side it's on 5. The other side it's on 5 as well. That feels pretty good. My phone going again. On this actual bike there are where is it? Yeah, you can see that there's, once you've got the chain guard on, there's actually a guide here, so you can be more specific, more accurate, and adjusting your chain once this is on, because basically through a window you can feel up and down, and that feels about right, I think, to me anyway. What am I going to use for lube? I'm going to use gear oil. Okay, it's cheap. It might be a bit messy, but needs to work well. You know, it's the best stuff. I've seen those articles. What, Fort 9? He did a good article on it. Yeah, it's just cheap as chips. Gear oil. So no, I'm happy with that tension. I'm just going to tighten this nut up, put all the chain guard back on, and the side guard there, and then I'll double check the chain tension again through the window, and that'll be done. So I'm just using this. It's 75.90. The cheapest gear I can find basically. I got this from Eurocar Parts, and that's like £7 a bottle, but that will last ages, you know. You might have to put it on more often, but you know, these so expensive, the little tins of stuff you get, you know, of you know, specific chain lube. That is as smooth as you like. Yeah, my brother was going to really notice a difference with this new chain on and sprockets. It's a teeny bit tight, but that'll be okay. Back on with the bits. So what are we after? Side cover, 2 little screws. Right, lining up the marks. So I put a bit of Tipex on there to align with the split in the actual lever. So that's going to go on now. Right there. On the screw. Bolt, 10mm. Don't go crazy tighten up. On with your chin guard. Flimsy little thing, isn't it? Sometimes when you're using like an impact, it's hard to gauge the torque of small bolts, so it's worth doing it with your hand afterwards, with the hand tool. Right. Now according to this, highest and lowest. I'd say it's a tiny bit tight, but I'm going to go for riding it first and test that. It will loosen up a teeny bit. Well, that feels lovely. Job is done. So I didn't torque that up, but I know what sort of tightness it should be. It's a nylock bolt. It's not gonna fly off. But you know, you do bolts up. If you do them up a lot, you get to know what sort of tightness you need to, do them up to. So I'm not worried that I didn't torque that. But you may want to for peace of mind, and a mechanic would. Let's see. Yeah. So good job. So I've just come back from like a 10-mile ride. Okay. And now the chain a little bit looser, but now perfect. Okay. So sometimes it takes a few miles for the chain to bed in until you can get the perfect, or the accurate sort of tightness on it. Okay, so that's cool. Another job done. If you want to see other videos of jobs I've been doing on these SR125s, have a look in my other videos. Did the front fork seals on this one yesterday as well, and on my sister's one we took the engine apart, and because it was no compression, we did a top end rebuild on it. So there's 3 parts to do on that as well. Okay, so if you like this, feel free to subscribe. I do put videos up on occasionally when I'm not too busy, like these few days. Alright.